Welcome to the True Northing podcast, everyone. This is our
Yes.
first episode with our official name.
Rebranding.
Yeah, but I
Rebranding.
feel
True
like
Northing.
it's something that we wanted all along. Like this is the name that we considered, like True
Mm-hmm.
North or something. But then suddenly when we switched it to True Northing, it worked.
Yep.
So yay.
So here we are.
We are. I have had a random discovery in the last couple weeks. So in summer, I spent some time in Europe, and everyone that I witnessed there literally puts all their dirty dishes in the dishwasher. Like they don't rinse them off. They just put dishes straight in the dishwasher. Do you do that? Or do you rinse your dishes and then put them in the
It
dishwasher?
depends. I usually rinse them. It depends on how dirty, but yeah, I usually rinse them.
Yeah. So I am a rinsing dishes kind of almost clean and then put them in the dishwasher, and then dishwasher is to sanitize. But in both England and Sweden, they literally put like pasta sauce in all dishes straight into the dishwasher, like yogurt bits on the bowls. Okay. And I was like, what the heck? They came out clean. So
Wow.
I did a little background searching, and I guess you're supposed to just put the dishes in dirty. There's some like sensors or something that it will actually clean the dishes better, because I think maybe with some dishes it's like a water sensor. It senses how dirty the water is and how much it needs to clean them. Anyways, I've experimented a few times putting them in dirty. It's cleaned them. So now my life has changed.
Where does all the food go?
Anyway,
does it gunk up your dishwasher?
To clean out filters. Yeah, there's a filter in the dishwasher. So you're supposed to clean it out more often when you do it this way.
Okay.
But like with our kids, we're like, okay, like wash your dishes and then put them in the dishwasher to clean. And anyways, it was a revolution for me. I will update as I keep going, but I was like, what? Clean dish without rinsing it up. And like apparently that's how you're supposed to be doing it. So anyways, bringing the European wisdom back.
I love it. They hold so much wisdom.
I know, totally. And side note, if I'm flashing my nails, my child did them yesterday. So they're all picked and like scratched nail polish. So yeah, if we're on video, we can see like sweet. My crazy looking nails. That's why.
I love it. Good.
But yeah, how are you feeling? Do you want to kick us off on today's topic or random check-in?
Let's see. You know, I'm not going to check in too much. I'll just say I'm holding a lot of energy right now. But yeah, I continue to be fascinated by what other people can activate in us, and this idea of other people as a mirror, serving as a mirror for us. So when you meet somebody, there's an energy exchange, and there's something about them that can activate parts of us. And sometimes it can be uncomfortable for us. Sometimes it can feel exhilarating. Sometimes we don't even know what we're feeling. It's just like a big energy kind of taking over. A lot of the time and I've spoken to this before, we connect that to love. Like we meet somebody and we feel this kind of rush of like oxytocin, and just, it feels so good. And we think, oh my gosh, like what is it about this person? This must be love. This is what love, and certainly that can be what love feels like. You know, and then we do the thing that you're supposed to do when you feel love. We like pursue that person and form a relationship and all, imagine our future and all of that. So, but that's not always what it is. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people don't know that there are so many different elements here that it doesn't necessarily always equal love. It's like the other person holds the key to unlock certain parts of you. And I know you can speak to this.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like the bigger the feeling, the more information there is there. Whether it's a positive, like you said, falling in love, or negative, like a strong aversion, like there is material there for us to learn about and reclaim more about ourselves. And on this topic of love and attraction, I think it's a big one because I think there's just a lot of pieces in it, and especially around being in love and falling in love. Like that is a massive state that I've just been thinking about more recently. Like, what is it to fall in love? What is it to be in love? How much is it in relationship to the other person? How much is it just about ourselves? Like clearly there's the biological, the hormones and everything that happen, but it's a really fascinating state that does change us biologically. Like the chemicals do change in us, but it also alters our state. And yeah, kind of coming back to this piece of like how much we can learn about ourselves through another person. And so there's this one piece about being in love, but it can, these strong feelings with another person or through meeting another person can come up in so many different forms.
Right. Yeah, it can happen with friends. I mean, I've experienced it before where I've made a new friend and I am so excited and I'm thinking to myself, she's so cool. Like she's amazing. Oh, she's so fill in the blank. She's so outgoing or whatever it is I, am drawn to about her. And, have had the experience of kind of putting her on a pedestal in a sense, like really wanting to be accepted by her, really wanting her to like me back. And, I hope she'll reach out and we can go hang out and spend more time together and become deeper friends, that kind of thing. And so it's been really interesting for me to identify what it is about her that I am so drawn to. And I can think of one example where she had this energy of being so embodied and not really worried about what people thought of her. She just was so comfortable in her own skin and I'm trying to think of another word, but just very like confident. And that is what attracted to me. And I realized, oh, that's a part of me that I used to be really in touch with, but somewhere along the way through like socialization and bad experiences, I started to quiet and dim that confident part of me. And so I was seeing it reflected in her. And this is all of course unconscious until I could identify it. But that was the attraction, was I was seeing in her this lost part of myself that I really wanted for myself.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's a couple parts there that I want to speak to. Is one, how you really identified what it is. What is the attraction? Or like what is the quality in the other person that feels so curious and enlivening and attractive to you? Um, but when you mention this other part of like you used to be connected to that within yourself, this confidence or this like embodied nature that she had, but somewhere along the way you had to reject it and or repress it or whatever. And so seeing that quality is like remembering this lost part of you, or this part of you that you never could be before. And so in that reclamation of lost parts, or seeing people have these qualities, we actually can have different feelings about it. We can have like, oh, I want to be friends with them. We can want to be close, or we can actually feel our own rejection towards it. Like, oh no, look at her. She's embodied and confident. Like somewhere along the way, I learned that wasn't okay. And so here are my kind of unconscious judgment pieces coming in around that. And so really what we're speaking to is noticing these different qualities that were kind of being activated in us through other people, getting curious about what those qualities are, and then also being curious about our inner state and what's our relationship to those qualities.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that in, because it's so true with her, with this example I'm talking about. It was like, oh, there I am. Like I was seeing myself reflected in her. And it was like, there I am. Like that's me. Like this, it was a reclamation, and it felt like home, and it felt so good. And then what you're speaking to is, yeah, the other aspect of this is, so maybe it was, yeah, it could be the same situation where maybe I was a really confident kid and displayed that in certain ways. And, that triggered the adults around me or my peers or whoever to respond negatively and maybe shame me for that and somehow teach me that that was bad to be confident. So then that same kind of scenario, seeing it in another person, seeing them being very confident and embodying that thing that I wasn't allowed to be, can trigger judgment. It could, and I can certainly think of other examples where that's happened too, where it's like, who do they think they are? Like, oh, that person rubs me the wrong way. Like there's something about them that I really can't stand. And it's the same thing. It's like they're reflecting that thing that I don't allow myself to be, that I learned it wasn't okay to be. And so there's this projected judgment outward.
Mm-hmm. Through doing this kind of work, of like seeing other people as a reflection of qualities either I want to embody or have rejected in myself, or value, just all these kind of things. I've come to find that usually, okay, so an example of like maybe somebody has a quality that um, I'm I'm triggered by because um, maybe they're so kind of they don't care what people think, but maybe they don't care what people think to the extent that it's just kind of seemingly over the top or something like that, that it's just like really not mindful of other people. And so maybe it can point to so many different things. Maybe there was a time that like I um, was really shamed or something for not caring about other people. Maybe it's teaching me that um, I feel really threatened by that. I feel really threatened by that kind of state of not caring for others. Um, it can also point to my values, which I think is really interesting. This is something that like it's it can speak to a part that we need to bring back home, but it can also speak to what's important to us and kind of clarifying that. But usually, when it's something that we need to reclaim, there's like a bigger feeling involved. Like there's an emotional charge to it, right? Because we can have like neutral observations of like, oh, that person seems to like not have a lot of mindfulness kind of thing. But it was like, oh, if she so doesn't care, whatever, if there's like a big emotional charge or judgment, there's usually some shadow piece there for us.
Yeah, a big judgment or even a big lingering feeling of like love or euphoria, or like you can't stop thinking about the person. Like, what is happening? What is it about this other person? So that's a signal that there's some deeper lost self, shadowy thing happening, getting triggered for you. And you've encountered this in your life.
Yeah, there was this experience that I had with a man a number of years back. You were there with me through this time, where I had this super strong feeling of attraction, I guess is maybe the best word to use to describe it, although it wasn't necessarily physical attraction. It was this like energetic attraction towards this
Moth to a
person.
flame.
Yeah, like moth to a flame. Like it wasn't mental. It wasn't like I said, it wasn't even like a physical attraction. It was this other kind of moth to a flame energy that was like, like, what is this? You know, like there was nothing I could do to stop it. And it was actually a super deep process for me because it was being filtered through my mind and my lens of understanding of like, does this like energy, what does this energy mean? Does this mean like I'm meant to be with this person? Does this mean I'm in love with this person? Does this mean you know, what does this mean? What am I supposed to do with all this energy towards this man that I'm feeling this extreme magnetism towards? And for different life reasons, like thank goodness for that, but it wouldn't have evolved into a relationship. And so it really kept me stuck in this trying to understand what it was, because it was like, well, if we're not going to be in a relationship, like why am I feeling all this energy and attraction? And because the feelings were so strong, I had to go through so many different angles of trying to figure out what was happening for me and what was happening in this situation. And it was really deep, deep work for me of learning to distill what I was feeling, what the qualities in this man were, and getting real with my unconscious projections and still staying curious, because it wasn't simply only projections, although projections were a big part of it, of identifying qualities in him and then realizing, wow, these are qualities that I really want to have, that I don't embody, that I really want for myself. And also that I would like to have in a partner, but kind of back to that saying of like, you know, we come into relationships as whole people. And then, of course, we can seek certain qualities out. But it was almost like I was really needing to understand and embody those qualities for myself and not simply seek them in a partner or another person. And that was very transformational work for me, especially with how big that magnetism felt and how life circumstances perfectly aligned it that we couldn't and wouldn't be romantic partners.
Wow. Yeah. So to hold all of that energy, kind of like the mind doesn't even understand it. You're like, this person on the surface is not a match for me. Like, I'm not in this situation. He's not in this situation. This is not a match, you know, but so it doesn't really make sense. But there's this incredibly powerful feeling that is just here. Don't know what to make of it. Don't know what it's about. And then, and in a way, you kind of had him up on this pedestal. And so you were able to really dissect this over a long period of time, peeling back the layers. What is happening? What's coming up for me? What is it about him? Why do I have him on this pedestal? And so are you saying that you were able to get to a place of recognizing that he was displaying traits,
Mm-hmm.
like masculine traits
Mm-hmm.
that you had put on a pedestal, had put like up on this shelf of, other people get to embody this, but I don't. Like these were aspects that you wanted to really step into for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's part of it. But yeah, pedestalizing him, but really unconsciously pedestalizing what he in my psyche embodied, which was
Mm.
really in his work, really in his worth, um, really well respected and honored for his wisdom and knowledge and a number of other things. But yeah, they were qualities that I was so feeling like I was lacking at the time. Or, right, I allowed him, like, okay, you carry those because I can't. And we do that with
Mm.
people. We hand off qualities that we are not comfortable carrying within ourselves. And we do this with actually celebrities. We do it with like people in our community, is we give roles and identities and feelings for certain people to hold for us because we somehow unconsciously can't or won't. And that's why this work is so powerful, because you can do it with your favorite celebrities. You can do it with anybody that you idolize, anybody that you feel this big energy towards. It's like, what am I giving to them to hold? And do I want a piece of that back for me? And then I learned to hold that piece for myself. And when we do that, our life transforms. We become so much more whole, so much more capable of discovering the full range of who we are, besides our personality or who we think we are. And so this experience with this man, I mean, look at these qualities that I just named. He was in his work, he was in his worth, he was um, he had this ability to really communicate who he was and be well respected. And when I identified those qualities, I'm like, I think I'm ready for that. I think that I want to have that. And simultaneously realizing that those qualities are important to me. And maybe there are qualities in him that I also wanted in a partner. I have my husband now. This was years ago, but that experience did actually help me really clarify what was important to me, both for myself, but also looking for my partner at the time.
How beautiful. So once you identified this, that you were giving him these pieces to carry that really you wanted to carry within yourself. Once you identified that, was there like this exhale, like the energy had dissipated?
Yes, yes. But you remember the energy was big and it was years. It was years.
Yeah.
And I tried many different ways to think about it and approach it and understand it. And it was something that I was like gnawing on for a while.
So the bigger the lingering effect, I guess it's safe to say, the bigger the unconscious aspect.
Totally.
Like the
Yes. And
deeper you
so
have to go.
I went deep, but guess what? I got to become so much more whole. And I did have an exhale once I really identified those qualities and started the work of reclaiming them for myself. And first of all, just stating that I wanted to reclaim them and identifying what it is that I was ready to bring back for me. Like, you don't have to hold these pieces for me anymore. in my psyche. And that's the other thing is like some people unconsciously will choose to hold those qualities. Be like, I can do it. I can hold those for the culture, the community. And so it's this unconscious agreement, which is also completely fascinating.
Yeah. And then maybe maybe you kept a little piece, a little longing which was the identification of what he had that maybe you wanted in your partner. So you were reclaiming for yourself and recognizing parts that maybe in partnership you would like. And so you kind of, the energy dissipated. It wasn't this big unconscious thing, but you held this little nugget, this little hope for the future as you were looking forward. Does that sound true?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because in that sense, then the really fascinating thing about this is once I identified my piece, I could see him as human. Whereas before, I couldn't really see him necessarily as clearly as I needed to, just because of all this energy. But yeah, I could see him as human, and I could feel just more neutral in kind of understanding what was important to me and what I did want versus kind of just being in this like whirlwind of projection, fantasy. But I don't want to limit it there. I really don't, because I think that kind of going back to what I said at the beginning of this like state of in loveness or just this massive kind of moth to a flame feeling. I think that I don't want to just limit it to this concept of, oh, you're just projecting, or oh, it's nothing real, because I think that and maybe it is expanding the term projection. Maybe there's this entire alchemy that's possible within that. And maybe it's just my limited idea of, maybe somewhat of a negative connotation that the term projection has had. Oh, you're just projecting. And it's like, what if we're like, oh, you're projecting? There's alchemy there. And that's amazing. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
there's a projection here. Yes, there's information here.
In a whole field and potential that's possible. So also bringing it back to like the bigger the projection, the bigger the feeling, the bigger the emotional response, like the more you have to reclaim for yourself, the more whole you get to experience yourself and get to know yourself, which is exciting. I think that part is really exciting, of just the discovery of people getting to know who they are beyond who they think or thought they were.
Yeah. Something big in there for you when that happens. All right. I love it. Let's end here and get back at it next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone.